All right, everybody, welcome back. It is monthly recap time for the month of August. Hard little down month here. I think $390 is our total for the month in the red. Of course, we never want to be red. We never want to take a loss ever, but it's got to happen sometimes. And this was just a tough month for me. Going over every aspect of each individual trade. Why am I taking this specific trade? Learning who I am as a trader, dealing with outside influence as well, how those affect my trading, and just continuing to chip away at this grind of a career path, a potential future in this world of day trading. It's exciting and I love every single minute of it, even through all of these red days and all of these losses. It's still just so incredibly exciting to me and excited for the future every single day in this. So we got a lot to get into. I'll try to keep it brief and as quick as I can the whole time. Just starting with this new platform, TraderSync. Just I think started right at the end of the month. So really going through, still learning the platform itself, going through all the past trades that I've already uploaded, and I really love it. I think my poor Excel sheet, though, I've spent so much freaking time into that thing. It pains me to try and step away from that. But I mean, this TraderSync, I don't want to make this an advertisement for TraderSync, but golly, it does a lot. It does a lot and even a more some of what my Excel sheet was doing, and just has it so much more concise and neat. And uploading trades is so much more easier than trying to input that in my Excel sheet in the past. So still learning the platform. I'll try and finagle around here in this video, but excited to get to use this a little bit more too, and have that breakdown each month for trade reviews a little bit easier each time as well. This month of August, SPY always continually hitting new all-time highs pretty much every single day. Bitcoin, we're now above 50K here in the month, starting the month of September, but just hovering around that 50K mark. It was actually at 50K by the 23rd, and now just continuing to hover around there. So just in this tight little range, if you want to say, as of Bitcoin. Going over as well now some highlighted trades that I wanted to mention. I got 4 different ones that just stuck out to me, not necessarily just specifically the ones that I traded, not necessarily as of the whole market trades that I missed especially, but FLGC, one that I traded, this is on the 5th of August, starting off the month here as a kind of breakout, looking at the daily here. I won't get so far deep into the fundamentals of the company and the exact trade itself, but these are just ones that I wanted to mention and highlight as well too at the end of the month, that potential future opportunities to keep a focus on these types of trades. So you can look for the daily trading recaps for more in-depth on each of these trades. But FLGC was an awesome little kind of almost a third day playish. That we're still in a huge run up if you want to be factual about it. But even considering it too, it has this huge day that's really kind of a standalone from this. Well, this is also a nice intra-daily pattern as trade as well too, that it's get the nice spike, maybe a little sell off, but holding, and then continuation, forcing those shorts out that are trying to linger because this pattern's not going bearish. It's coming to the upside. Then you get almost another third day pattern as well, coming again from this huge squeezy day, a little sell off, but basing here right around this $10 hole mark. Squeeze out of the open, and then I traded it, I think, a little stupidly, looking for more move initially from that pre-market, or from in that morning session. I think I got scalped, a stupid trade on this one for this morning session, but then had a nice, we get this kind of bigger, wider wedge-ish pattern, if you want to call it that, higher lows being put in. Then you get this nice consolidation just right under that intraday high a day being put in, and I thought there was plenty more potential even beyond this $15 whole level, testing that previous high of day on the daily as well too. But I think I sold it there. These are none of the arrows here are exact entries and exits on all these trades. You can look at the daily trading recap for those exact ones, but these are just kind of the broad spectrum blocks that I want to be focused on, that to be aware of for the future, that I wanted to highlight in these. So awesome little immediate breakout right there. That was a nice opportunity to sell into. And of course, this one fell off into the afternoon session. But that was FLGC on the 5th. The other one I wanted to highlight was ZEV on the 10th of August here. I believe this was another dip and rip setup that was pretty awesome. Again, I'm not going over the super hard fundamentals of what the company is or the exact trade itself, but just highlighting the opportunities as they were there, going over them. I think I got faked out initially with this quick up and down move within 2 minutes, but then consolidation was still there. Lows hadn't been broken yet. Provided another opportunity, especially with this point too. It's just a slow, continual bleeding of those shorts that are trying to play this for an all-day fader, and then you get the nice squeeze and pop to the upside, strength to sell into, and even provide a little more opportunity even past the kind of top wiki red candles here with this little sell-off, and the volume candles being put in as well too. Nice morning pattern on that one, even a little bit in the afternoon session as well too, playing a nice green day trend to the upside off of this little basing here after a failure to continually break down to new low days on that one. That was ZEV on the 10th, GRNQ on the 20th. This was a freaking awesome one of not a full day one, but just the kind of great dip and rip executions and lessons of what these types of things can do. Not necessarily the playing it to how I played it, of looking for way more the rest of the day, looking for an all day green trend, but just of saying this is the freaking dip and rip pattern. You want a nice pre-market percentage move to the upside. You want that just choppiness, whatever it's going to do within the first few minutes. Sell off, break VWAP, find a little bit of consolidation somewhere, and then you play just as it's curling to the upside, and then you're able to ride that move to VWAP as it's going to build more and more volume, and then it just continually pushes hard on the acceleration to squeeze out those shorts to the upside for a quick scalp. This is beyond 10% profit opportunity on that one. Even halted here to the downside, I think. Yeah, actually halted to the downside. So yeah, shoulda, coulda, woulda. What the market was telling me this whole month as well too, that those types of all-day green trends that you hold on a little bit of your position for, they just weren't happening this month, and I did not adapt to that very well. And I still convinced myself that, oh, it maybe could, but I never ran into that problem. And that's the adjustment that I need to make too, that it's good to be taking profits too soon, and that's a problem we can work with. Versus now potentially really much on all of these trades that I was taking, I was cutting my profits in half, essentially looking for, convincing myself, oh, I'm taking profits, as they're there, but just still giving that lottery ticket, if you want to call it that, or just trying to play for the all-day trade, when that's not been proven, and that's not how trading works. You do what the market is telling you is there, in a sense. You take what the market's giving, not trying to force an idea on the markets. Whereas I was saying, oh, I'm just allowing the market to do what it wants to do, to go, if it wants to go higher, then all by means, you go do that, and I'll certainly take the profits from it. But that's not what the market was telling, and I did not adapt to that well this month on the dip and rips type of plays and a lot of other plays as well too. I think dip and rips are pretty much my main focus this entire month. There was certainly a lot of them. That was GRNQ on the 20th of this month of August. BPH was another one, another dip and rip setup on the 24th that I wanted to take note of. This was just a huge, awesome lesson that we've not had in a while for how fast this freaking price action moved. This was an awesome dip and rip setup again, nice pre-market percentage mover, whatever the fundamentals of the company were, but you get the nice choppiness out of the gate, sell off, bring in the shorts, they get squeezed as we retrace back to VWAP. And this was go back to the daily trading recap. I'm talking to me too in all of this. This is pretty much always all for me, just this teaching moment of these monthly recaps and the daily trading recaps. But in the daily trading recap too, the speed of which this happened was absolutely ludicrous. And I'm seeing this price action come, and we're testing nice levels. And then as I'm typing on my computer, getting ready to sell and liquidate like half of my position again, stupidly taking profits at like half of what I should have been exiting in this nice peak, regardless if I thought it was going to perk any higher. But it was so freaking quick of how fast this thing just revolted against that higher price move and slammed to the downside. This turned from like a $160 winner into a $16 loss, I think it was. I forget the exact number, but it was something big like that in that regard of, wow. It was a fun experience to be a part of, but it was... that was pretty insane. And then the literal next day, this wasn't a highlighted trade that I wanted to mention, but ADTX, the literal next day, I'm doing the same type of pattern, looking for the same play. We get the nice pre-market percentage move, and it wasn't as hard of a little dip or sell off from that point, but we get this curling and holding of VWAP, and the move starts to come. We get to a new high day peak, and it slams down immediately again, and I was already out. I was kind of already on edge from yesterday. That scar was still a little fresh. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. This thing happened twice, like within 2 days. It's insane. But that was it's funny to see. That's part of the game, and I love it. And I always have a smile on my face when I talk about it too, because, geez, that's just freaking trading. And, exciting to see and exciting to be a part of, and continually refining that knife's edge of how we trade and what we do as traders with these types of patterns, and learning every single aspect of them, continuing to evolve and build that experience database for each of these types of plays, keeping us on our toes. That's the basis of it. So those are all the trades I wanted to highlight just for the month. Of course, I want to highlight every single one of them because those are continually making me who I am as a trader. But just going over, I got a list here that I wanted to talk about as well too. And I love this is the first little monthly video that I feel a little bit more focused to, because this whole month I was just continually checking off boxes and writing little things down that I wanted to make note of at the end of the month to talk about. And yeah, talk a little bit more about this TraderSync platform too, because I love just the ease of, if my face gets out of the way here, even this little bar here for setups, categorizing how you do on your setups. Obviously, dip and rips ended up pretty well for me. My morning dump strategy just was not working. I traded them so poorly as well too, and the opportunities were not there. But even talking about, looking at a weekly breakdown, Mondays and Wednesdays, obviously my only profitable days, Tuesdays and Fridays, just absolutely tanked me. Probably would have been better just taking off those days. Where it's funny because I feel in the past, Tuesdays have usually been one of my best days regards to P&L, but you can't argue with the data here in this month. So that's interesting to see, and looking at adjustments to that potentially. The different factors here, win rate obviously below 1/3. But totally awesome. I totally love this. Again, I don't want to make this an advertisement for TraderSync for anybody, but this is just this is totally awesome to see all these different opportunities and different avenues of technology that's here. And still learning the platform, obviously, too, where I need to press on these different things. It's whatever. So it's exciting. So starting off the month, I felt immediately from the gate on the very 2nd of August, as we started this month, that something was different than this June and July trading that I felt we were in. It just became as if, I'll move my face back here, right there. It was just the aura and the smell of something, it was totally different than what I felt we just came from in the true summer months of June and July. And maybe we get even a little bit different here, carry on the same type of action in this September month, which I feel is kind of happening already a little bit. But just from the gate, we started off really weird. And I think that should have been my indication, at least a little bit, to, okay, something's weird, something's different. I don't necessarily understand it all the way. Maybe take a step back a little bit. It's never going to hurt me to take that step back a little bit, because as you can see with this month too, when I try to keep it the same, or when I'm still convincing myself that, oh, you can still push it in the same regard always and forever, that's what gets me in trouble. And that's what, I didn't YOLO. I wasn't just going absolutely ludicrous insane, but it was just the continual death by 1,000 paper cuts every single time too, that I think ended up kind of hurting me overall with this month of trading. It was a rough way to end that first week, especially on this Friday with that failed morning dump, taking too big of position sizes, and I didn't really learn to adjust to that right until the end of the month. That I'll get into with another point here that I mentioned. But with a lot of these, convincing myself that because the trades are there and the percentage moves are always going to be there. That's the point that I'm making. But it's the reality of, am I able to trade them, and do I truly understand this type of action for this type of market in sense? And it's so tough because, of course, you always see the millionaires who have already made it, and they're still making their $20,000 a day, making awesome percentage moves to the upside. And you're just like, well, if they're still doing it, then obviously I can still do it too. You can't tell me that it's not possible. If I can literally point to them and saying, well, they're doing it themselves, you can't tell me that they're wrong. Just continuing to learn about myself. But yeah, and the reality there too is, well, that's them and I'm me. It doesn't matter what they're doing. It only matters what I'm doing. The P&L is all that matters. It's the only thing that matters is what's going on in this own mental space of mine. And again, dealing with the just kind of frustrations of taking these super small losses and looking for like $100 win on the day for me is absolutely awesome in this point in time for me of what I'm trading, even though I'm not using a full position size with every single trade. And I could be, I've got the cash to get outside of PDT if I wanted to, but I still know I'm not at that point in time yet. But then again, it's so frustrating to see these just, I want to say they're just stupid traders and stupid people, and watching their videos or looking at their trading charts of what they were trading, and they're scalping like 1 or 2% moves, but of course using that $20,000, $30,000 size, and it's huge dollar P&L returns as compared to what I'm doing. And it's that frustration of, golly, you are making so much freaking money trading absolutely stupid setups. And I'm just killing myself here trying to get at least these 10% returns and holding myself accountable to be, hey, what's an actual trade here? This isn't just a scalp. What's the substance to this trade here? And then you go and look at those people. Obviously, they're just rolling around in their $1,000 a day with just absolutely illiquid stocks and stupid trades where there is no risk level, and they're taking so many different factors in that, dude, that it just makes me emotional just thinking about it too. But again, like I said, it's doesn't matter what they're doing. You can take and learn lessons from them, say, oh wow, they're making a killing. They're seeing something totally different than the market. Their perspective is way more roundish than what I'm seeing, or whatever avenue that may be. But all that matters and what the focus should be on is what you are doing 100% every single time. I come back at the end of this month here too, and I wrote down, it's so much easier to be in such a good state of a mood. I feel good mood when you're just red every single day too, because the only way is up, right? It, I want to see when we start making profits and when the green starts to roll around more and more too. If I'm able to maintain this type of emotional paradigm, because I think when I totally, in looking back at a lot of these different months too, when I have a good green month, when I started nailing that morning dump setup time and time again, and I had one of my best months ever, I think the next few months after that was pretty rough, because whether I got cocky in it or whether I just started to disregard my understanding of position sizing for the individual setup, I think was the biggest factor in that. I had so much data and so much practice on that morning dump short setup. And then I believed what I could go and look at the dip and rips in the same light and start throwing the same position size at those ones. Whereas that is totally not the case whatsoever. My experience with those types of setups is totally different, and my position sizes need to be adjusted accordingly to that, which I didn't factor into. And I think I did that same thing here of, hey, my A plus, or what I feel I'm most experienced and most loving to trade in this month, just really wasn't there. Dip and rips, yeah, a little bit. I do like trading that dip and rip morning pattern, but the position sizes I was taking on that and the repetition that I was trying to force on those two just wasn't equating to what was being given from the market. So a lot of the red names in the chat, a lot of the millionaires checking out early. Not a lot of them sticking around for the afternoon. They were taking lots of time off, taking their vacations. I know the Jackaroos and the Kyle Williams, they were just not forcing anything. I think Kyle had a whole week that he literally did not trade anything, that he said in his monthly review too, which maybe is good for me to, in a sense too, rather than just saying, oh, I need to go take a vacation, I need to step away from the markets, but forcing myself to carry out the same routine that I do every single day, but tie my hands so that I can't push the button, that I have to just watch too. Maybe dealing with something like that too. I don't know if that's the best way for me to learn, or that how my brain perceives that, especially too, because in the very, very, very beginning when I started learning this day trading, that's what I did, which is just about a year ago, actually. Now I'm just passing 1 year of starting this full time. But I think it was just all passing. There wasn't any emotional involvement in it, and my brain needs to be fully touching it and feeling it and experiencing it to truly understand what's going on. And that firsthand experience is really everything I'm going after in this trading career, in order to learn and to gain and to continue to take those steps on this path. But so now going short as compared to what I was doing April, May, June, July. I think I was only short 3 times by the middle of the month here. This is awesome here. Check this out. Short, bam. 2 wins out of 7 trades, all of them trying to trade a morning dump. KXIN was a stupid loss trying to pick tops. I love this trader sync. This is just awesome breaking how you can see it, especially like on the weekly here too, looking at that. Mondays and Wednesdays were my best days, and lost too much on the Fridays, which I think was KXIN maybe. But yeah, not going short a lot and really forcing those morning dump setups when they weren't there. SNGX was one opportunity that was there. That was a 13% winner, but really not a lot showing up and not a lot being offered into that regard of what that pattern was that I thought I was seeing, and adjusted accordingly too. I even told myself at the time that I'm not going to try to I wasn't even looking to go short. I was waking up later, so I didn't even have the opportunity to try and speculate that the tickers that were popping were going to do that pattern because they weren't. And that was a good adjustment I made on that part in regards to that pattern. By the end of this week of the 16th to 20th, I felt I was trading well in regards to what I would want to be doing in the patterns I was looking at. Of course, not in regards to P&L or my exact entries and executions, but the type of charts that I wanted to be looking at and what the market was giving at the time. I think I was doing well for the mental space I was in at that time, if it makes sense to. I just wrote that a little bit vaguely, but just maybe pushing it a little bit too hard for what the market was obviously offering at the time too, which I think was my biggest downfall for this whole month, of forcing things that weren't there, convincing myself that things were there that they weren't, just learning lessons totally along the way. We got into this little stretch here pretty much, I mean, this whole month, and especially within these first 3 weeks, I think the 23rd this week as well too. Dip and rips were kind of rinse and repeating every single day too. It was just one of, hey, what's the biggest pre-market percentage mover? Which one looks the best to do a potential dip and rip? And they were 100% offering it every single day. I think BPTH was that 24th. Yeah, this whole week was a lot of dip and rip opportunities. Just kind of one day after another. They were doing well at that point. The monthly goal I had coming into this month from July now shifted into the realm of having fun. That was the monthly goal. And I adapted to that, or I understood it as always looking at it as a child. And of course, I get to spend a lot of time with my 2-year-old nephew now lately. And the entire world to him is just so exciting and new, and every experience is just continuing to build new neural pathways in his brain, and he just wants to explore and create, and he craves that continual expansion of the brain. And that's how I want to be. That's how I wanted to be in my athletic career in baseball, with my experimentation and the play aspect of it. And that's what I want to do, especially in this trading too, because how do I know how good I can be if I never attempt to do it? If I never go just so absolutely crazy hard, how do I know that the summer months aren't my absolute best trading months if I don't go hard, in a sense? Not just going absolutely YOLO crazy trying to force trades that aren't there, but being absolutely present and giving it a try. That's my biggest thing too, that from the very start of my trading career, I think I was super on the side of gun shy, that I was looking for way too many factors to try and justify me getting an entry, and I just wasn't experimenting enough and wasn't playing with it enough. Obviously, adjusting my position size accordingly to that, because I really didn't know anything. I wasn't going to start throwing thousands of dollars, swinging that around wildly, trying to play random setups that I really didn't know what I was talking about. But now I'm finding myself more and more becoming more exposed to it, living in this world. I understand the different aspects of it, and I'm just testing and feeling around. I'm not trying to build Rome in a day, but I'm also just in this realm of, how do I know what works best for me? I really don't know. How do I know that if I think I've found something of a great setup, like that morning dump short setup, well, maybe I should try a little bit of a different entry here, testing different theses on individual setups, testing different market days too. And that's where I can get a little bit caught up in this whole thing too, because there are so many factors and there's so many variables and there's so many different things you can play with in that regard, that it can become overwhelming, and that can become the focus rather than just trading what's there and focusing again on you versus uh, just staying in your lane and doing exactly that. And where I feel there's some limitations in that, and saying, especially early on in your trading career, that you're just kind of limiting yourself. And I totally agree wholeheartedly with the idea that, hey, especially as you're learning, you need to stick to one type of setup and you need to give your 100% everything to that. And then potentially, maybe as you made some nice profits off of that, continue to delve deep into that type of setup over and over and over again. Maybe you can shift your focus to something else too. And that's kind of where my focus has been now too, with this, pre-market short setup, that I was full 100% hard into that thing, just nailing it every single opportunity it did. And now that's not really being offered anymore. So now the market's afforded me the ability to take a step away from that one. I've given a lot, my full 100% focus to that. Now the opportunity can come to, hey, maybe look at something else. If that setup starts to come back again at some point during the fall, during the winter trading months, then you better believe it 100%. I'm absolutely going to nail that thing every opportunity that comes about from it. But just adjusting with the fly, what the market's giving. That's the adaptation that needs to happen. That's the thing I'm continually building with each and every single day as a trader. The videos that I'm doing now too, especially this one and the daily trading videos, I'm debating with myself too. Not necessarily debating. I think it's pretty much built in my mind that I don't ever want these videos to be the clickbaity, that my focus is on trying to make them for more viewers, for more subscribers, for more likes. That is not in any way, shape, or form my intention with these. I started it for myself because I wanted to force myself into this teaching mindset to help myself learn it even more. Potentially help maybe if somebody else gets any amount of use from it, or especially in the future, if I'm able to, when I get to that goal of what I know I can be in this future trading career, that I can look back and show, hey, if you want to know where I came from or how to get to a similar spot that I'm from, I've laid out literally every single day. And you can go back and watch these half-an-hour videos every single trading day and see exactly what I was looking at for that day and my exact trading breakdown for that specific trade. Just building a database in that sense and not so much focusing on these videos as trying to be a YouTuber, trying to put out content for people. I'm not doing it for monetary reasons. I'm doing it for that database because my computer can't handle all that video data, but just giving it as a resource to myself too. And that's why I keep the video thumbnails the same every single day. That's why I continue to just keep that consistency of how I do those and lay those out every single day. It's more so for the data, and it's not for, and I have to tell myself every single day when I see other people that are just trading what I feel is just so much more stupid trades than me, like I talked about a little earlier, that they get so many more viewers and so many more subscribers than I do, and that makes me angry. But I give it out. I don't care about the viewers and subscribers. That's not what I'm doing it for. That's my methodology with that. I talked about the kind of cockiness and looking back in a lot of the months for this year, especially too. When I put a good month in, sometimes I don't really feel that way, that I'm more aggressive or more active in trying to force trades that aren't there, or I think that, oh, yes, I'm such a good trader now, I'm going to make this trade too. And even when I take a loss, well, the market's just wrong. I do not believe that's what I get into, but it's just funny to note that the data doesn't lie. That's kind of what happens. Coming off of the month of May, which I feel was one of my, or the month of April, I think was one of my best months. And then May really wasn't that good. And then I think June was one of my other better months as well too. And now July and August here, we're kind of slim pickings, and I'm seeing a lot more red days, especially in what I mean in that. But so now we're in closing at the end of the month here. I had a shaky few days at one point when I was thrown off my mindset. I forget the exact specific point in time, but that was outside factors being influenced on this that I let in. This whole month previous, these first 3 weeks, I think it was around this point in time. But these first 3 weeks, I was kind of on top of the world. Even though the P&L was totally saying, hey, you're kind of stupid, you're an idiot, I was still I feel like even more motivated and excited every single day to be a part of this trading opportunity than I have been in a lot of the past few months. And I don't know where that came from, but I think the mentality there was that I talked about in a lot of the last few day trading recaps, of maintaining that positivity through every single red day, not letting the P&L affect my day, because that's not why I got into this type of career. I did not want to have an eternal mood swing every single day, whether the screen said red or green. I wanted to be totally free of monetary debt, monetary restrictions, and allowing myself to live life not bound by a 9-to-5 job or any other aspect like that. And I think that's a mentality. I was just so grateful and thankful for the opportunities, the blessings that I live in currently right now as well too. Every single opportunity is just so huge. And I was thrown off by that a little bit from outside factors from that perspective. And I don't regret it. I think that's always necessary in a sense, to look at outside influence or look at an outside perspective and say, maybe they do have some weight because they do have the thing that I don't have, which is an outside perspective. But then also keeping and maintaining the straight line to say, I believe I'm in the right. And I believe that the correct mentality that has carried me here is the only thing that matters. It doesn't matter what the outside world says, in a sense. They're going to continue to prove you wrong time and time again, and hooray, they'll be correct all the time whatsoever. But that success isn't going to come from the outside perspective. That success is going to, this entire trading career isn't going to be led or defined by an outside influence. It can only be created and sustained through the internal drive that is within me. And at the end of the day, that's the only thing that really matters, is those lines that I entrust myself within and guide myself by, which is what I have to contend. And I've eventually, at the end of this week here, I eventually found once again, and I've righted myself back in this kind of framework to understand that this trading career is mine. It is nobody else's. And every single day that I wake up, it is on my shoulders. There's nobody else to blame. Every single loss is mine. I'm responsible for all these losses. It's not, even though it may have been a broker mistake or whatever stupidness that, oh, the chart moved too quickly, blah, blah, blah. I pushed the button. I did the thing. It's 100% on me every single day. That's the encouraging part to me too, that there are no, like, an actor in a sense of, well, these acting firms and agencies, whatever that is, of, well, they just didn't like me. All I need is one good thing to it. That's the same thing with the trading career, but force on the perspective of it's all within you. That's the exciting part of, there is no limitations. There are no people holding you down. It is just you. And I love that aspect, especially coming from this lone wolf kind of mentality too, that it makes it more encouraging to me too. And I put so much more effort and focus into it when it becomes mine, when it's nobody else's. And when I hold on to that truth, then I feel that propels me even more to it. And that's the exciting part, continuing to go on these few months, even after what is a hard red month to take. I'm not, money is money. Money's just fake, and money won't define me. Of course, I don't want to be taking absolutely stupid continual losses like this monthly loss. I don't want to be taking that size of a loss every single day, understanding that reality, but living in the truth that money is so fake. And how many successful traders have there been too that just continue to blow up account after account after account, just do stupid things for years on end. And this is 1 year in a recap. This is where I'm at. I am precisely where I am meant to be. That is the phrase that I put on a lot of different things too, of where I think I should be, or comparing myself to different traders that started at a younger age and where they are now. And I am exactly right where I am meant to be. And that's the adage that sticks in my head a lot too. And I have to remind myself too, when it gets a little bit shaky, that you are precisely in your P&L, in your daily life of training and health and every aspect of it. I'm precisely where I'm meant to be. And yeah, potentially I want to go further. Of course, I want to go further in the future. But as of right now and living in this present moment, I should be nowhere else. And that's the comforting fact to me to know that as well. In the videos as well too, I also have another point here that I think I wasn't doing the best job of keeping a watch list or focusing on the external market hours aspect of the game rather than what I was kind of just doing for the videos, going over the big percentage movers. And I lucked out a little bit too, because in these slower trading months, the only things that really were moving and the only things that the tickers that anybody was talking about was the big percentage movers, because that's really all that was offering. So I lucked out a little bit in the sense of that I could just kind of wake up and then look at whatever the pre-market scanner was saying. And that was what everybody was talking about, what all the eyeballs were on. But I want to get away from that more too. And I'm learning a little bit more from that from this end month here and starting of September as well too. And I'm putting a little more focus on that in my daily trading videos as well too, of the watch list I had going into the market, what my focus was, the trading plan that I developed beforehand, and as well too what I'm looking for the next few days, establishing what I think could happen, because we got to predict the future in a sense too. We can't just play off the past too, which I convinced myself in those trade overviews that I was building a database, but all I was really doing was looking at past charts well, not understanding how I can apply those to before they happen in a sense. Yeah, I kind of learned that as well too, because I think Kyle said at one point that he doesn't even really scan Kyle Williams doesn't even sometimes scan in the pre-market because he's already got the trading plan going in beforehand. And that kind of threw me off. Like, wait, what? You don't even look at the big percentage movers? What are you talking about? And especially with I talked about this in another different day trading recap, that I think my brain, especially too, works so much better with that knowledge, because especially when I'm sleep deprived, when from the get go, I'm not coming from the best physically prepared standpoint, that I'm already thrown off a little bit because of different body, of how I have to work that sleep structure, different nutritional aspects of that. But I know my brain, especially too, works so much better when I have that preparation coming in beforehand. And I know that's going to prepare me so much better for these trades, intra trade as well too, versus just trying to scalp a just quick move to the upside on these different big percentage movers, which is not the trading style I want to do. I don't understand it as much too when I'm just trying to look at, what's at the most green, what's got the biggest number, and then try to chase in that aspect to developing myself into the prepared trader is where I want to go with this. And I think I'm involving the video structure as well too, and my mental aspect of the preparation that I do after market hours going into tomorrow morning, the morning before market hours, outlining everything that's moving, where I came from the night before, where those are at now. I think establishing myself more in that regard is going to do a lot of wonders for me in the next few months. So then, yeah, continuing off of that too, I think I wrote here that I especially love my mind fixates on too when the only thing that I really do was scan for those pre-market scanners, and that's the only really thing that I came upon. My brain would totally fixate on, okay, this is what we're looking at today, and I wasn't even really open to identifying the tickers or the trades that you needed to have a trading plan in beforehand in order to trade them in that day, in a sense. So for example, maybe you can compare that to like a third day surge type of play, or a potential panic dip buy type of trade, rather than just seeing on a scanner somewhere and then, oh, I needed to be in this trade. I need to trade that one. In my soul searching, I was feeling I was fixating heavily on the big percentage movers, because I lucked out again, as I said, of that they would be the only ones that were really active, and everybody else was looking at them too, because there really was nothing else to. And I was so focused and nearsighted to adapt to everything else that was still providing opportunities outside of that one play. And I was forcing trades on that one because, yeah, I didn't allow for any outside influence or any looking out of the corner of my eyes to see different charts or different opportunities that may or may not have been smacking me in the face the whole time. But carrying in the watch list, the preparation beforehand, I think that's going to open up my perspective a lot more and keep me grounded and understanding that, hey, I don't have to be just chained to whatever high percentage scalp moving that I threw myself to, or those get me the most amount of losses, especially too. And that's what degrades me as a trader, is those trying to trade those big scalping moves and thinking that's actually trading when it's not. I don't have a trading plan going into beforehand with those ones, and I totally get thrown. The entire day is just really ruined, because then I'm losing the focus on what could be other potential opportunities. I'm throwing myself on those. So going forward, I think it's going to be a lot of progress in that regard to establishing myself as a trader and keeping myself calm too, because that preparation, that aspect of doing the screen time after market hours and pre-market too, just defining the different things that I want to see. If it's not there, then I walk away from it. I don't try to force anything on it as well too. I think it's going to be pretty awesome going forward. So then, as I was also kind of going through July and even older trades here through August too, it's just, like I mentioned, those trades here that I see that I kind of forgot about a little bit, that just have no substance. It's so interesting to see that those occupy a lot of the days, and how much mental space I wasted on those, that I could have been either A, not trading, or B, looking at something else that offered a better potential opportunity. Man, I definitely want to game for that. And that's why I'm so excited and so glad for this type of platform. And, I had this data from my Excel sheet, but it wasn't so convenient and easy of an access to see. But golly, that's piggybacking off of what I just said too, that's I think going to be a huge weight off my back and weight off of my mental space too, that I can propel myself forward even more so going forward. Also, closer to the end of the month here, I forget which day that was specifically, but now for the temporary future here, I've limited myself to a $500 max intraday ticker position size limit. So in a sense here, I was kind of screwing myself over a little bit of thinking that even if I had enough cash in the account to trade that day to take, pretty big, decent position size each time, maybe $750 for each position size each way. I've limited myself now to do $500 max size ticker per day, just to continue to focus on the win rate, focus on the good entries and exits, and not just continue to throw cash away and throw trades away, thinking, oh, it could be here, it could be here, it could be here, and outlining myself more to give myself a little bit more patience to say to, okay, what if I'm watching a dip and rip, what probability do I think, if it's still below that, it's still before that 9:45 time frame, okay, we're putting in a little bit of a base here. How probable do I think it's going to happen from here? I think I'm going to give it a 50-50 or maybe a little bit more than 50-50 chance that we go from here. Okay, I'll throw a $300 position size in it at that point, just to say, of course, keeping the same risk levels, the same type of profit, looking to the upside from that point too, but allowing myself that breathing room to say, I think it could happen potentially again a little bit after this. I don't think this is necessarily the 100% move that it's got to happen here. But then also saying, given that protection point, hey, I think there's a lot of factors coming into place here that could propel this thing to do the move that I'm expecting, in a sense. So then if it doesn't happen, if it breaks against me, it comes a new low day, then I just cut it. It's not a huge percentage loss crazy move, like as if I was throwing a $1,000 position size on that type of bottom. Now I can say, okay, now I still have a little bit of cash left to trade this, maybe one, max of two more times. I'm just like Bryce Tui. I'm no way, shape, or form going to trade a ticker more than 3 times in a row after getting stopped out 3 times. But then saying, hey, I'll give myself a little bit more room, but it's obviously going to be less size than that first one if I've gone over like a 50% probability of that first trade happening. So then, for example, in that same example, then I can take that $200 position size. If I see another opportunity, more check boxes getting hit closer to a 9:45 time frame on a dip and rip, different factors like that in that example. So I think it's going to help limit just, of course, the P&L losses, but also the mental swings too, that now each one of those entries or trades isn't necessarily a full mental capital tax that, okay, I'm full in it 100%, I got to watch every single tick, versus, hey, I think the trade could go from here. Okay, it didn't go, cut it, move on to the next one, which is definitely going to be the path I want to go down in the future too, with the huge position sizes, with everything I'm doing that. Watching what's happening, not focused on, oh, well, if this breaks, then I'm going to take this amount of loss, but, oh, now the second trade's coming in, but if it breaks from here to the downside, so then I'm going to take this much of a loss. Not focusing on the P&L, which I don't believe I do right now. That's just an example, but that's those little tiny hits that can throw me off like that. Just even the thought of what I just mentioned in those types of phrases, getting totally away from that type of mentality and allowing the trade to breathe, allowing the fresh and clear perspective to realize what's actually going on the screen in front of me. So that's going to kind of wrap up pretty much this whole monthly recap, this pretty long video. Last little note I wrote here too is just go with the flow. And I mentioned this before, that I am exactly 100% right where I am meant to be. Nobody wants to take a red month. Nobody wants to take this many red days in a row. And I certainly don't. And that's that line of, okay, am I actually trading to make a profit, or am I just trading to fill a void of dopamine in my head? And that line too. And that battle and the struggle of dealing with every single day too. But that's why I do these recaps, is to outline the hard facts and understand that this redness is not what I want to carry in the future too, but it also doesn't define me. I'm not a terrible trader because of this. I am going to become an even greater trader because of this. And that's the mentality I carry into all of this coming into the next few months, and excited to see where it takes us. This is certainly a month for the history books. It's going to be, each and every single month is always a great attribute and lesson to continuing to structure who I am as a trader. Each and every single day does that. And I'm just so 100% excited to continue to see where this journey takes me, what each and every single day provides, and how I continue to evolve as a human being, as a trader in itself. I'm excited. I thank you guys so much for watching and listening to me Babylon. I also excited to point at you, future Brent Faber, wherever you're at. Maybe you're on your yacht as of right now or doing something absolutely awesome. But I hope you're living it well, in a sense. I thank you guys so much for watching. We will catch you guys on the next one.